we know that there are always usually human hands behind most everything, right? If you use AI for beats, the producer is out of the job. If you use AI for writing, you taking the time to write your own shit and someone else writing it for you is out of the job, right? If you use AI for mixing and mastering, again, that goes out the freaking door or whatnot. And then images, movies, video games, any of that, right? Like that people go to school to learn to do things so that they can get paid to really help you in the best way possible with their actual talent, right? Do this. Before you use AI anything, right? Always just literally put a post out. Put a post or put something out on TikTok. Like do something that at least gives people the chance to show you what they can do, right? You'd be surprised by like you being like, oh, I need an open verse on this thing, whether you're a producer or a rapper or singer or whatever, and then all the people who pop up and like duet to your thing, whether it's freestyle, written. Some people will be like, oh, I don't rap, but I can play the guitar, and then they'll play the guitar over the song, or they'll put the drum, and then again they'll give you ideas that you weren't necessarily thinking of, and people to actually have access to when it comes to certain styles and stuff like that. And so if you're smart, you guys will use the access of real people, because it's gonna help you in the end go more viral. The more people that know about your shit will share, and vice versa or whatnot.
I'm dangerous like I'm a mad gorilla. I am sicker than a salmonella filled sandwich dinner, homie. I will kill a beat a man. I'm iller than a caterpillar, chilling, having cigarettes while I live in a wonderland. I'm realer than a kid with an imaginary.
The AI. Should we have the conversation real quick? Yeah. So how do you guys feel about AI in general, right? I think it has some good uses depending on how you use it, right? What I would use it for is, okay, if I'm gonna come up with a record and I want a list of, let's say again, if I was gonna make a rap about Power Rangers and I wanted to get literally just a list of all the weapons they used and the names or colors, you know what I'm saying? I could literally ask it to sort of compile that really quick or whatnot. Google is more just looking for stuff. AI is more telling it what to do. Now the problem is when it comes to images, music, movies, different things like that, I think we'll always have a problem with it being used in that aspect, because we know that there are always usually human hands behind most everything, right? If you use AI for beats, the producer is out of the job. If you use AI for writing, you taking the time to write your own shit and someone else writing it for you is out of the job, right? If you use AI for mixing and mastering, again, that goes out the freaking door or whatnot. And then images, movies, video games, any of that, right? Like that people go to school to learn to do things so that they can get paid to really help you in the best way possible with their actual talent, right? I use the example of Scanner Darkly, right? If anybody has seen that movie before, it was essentially what they did was they filmed it with real cameras, and then they drew over all of the footage or whatnot. They hand drew everything or whatnot, so it took a lot of time. And again, today, yes, that could essentially be done with AI, but the fact that a real person that that they're there literally, I'm trying to make sure that it comes to life in the right way. And the fact that it's being done by hand, that aspect makes it that much doper, right? Just kind of throwing a filter over something would not just immediately make it that much freaking doper or whatnot, right? And I mean, you could even use, okay, well then what happened? So if people make a black and white movie today, does that count as the same thing? No, that CGI, all of that is kind of freaking you know what I'm saying, different, right? Like we want even when it comes to actors in movies, we want to know that they were in a location, period. We want to know that they got up, had to clock into freaking work, and then like do something, even if like most of the place they're in may be like a CGI kind of thing, right? There just still has to be some aspects of reality in there, so we can see, like, again, an actor's actual work, their mannerisms, you know, saying how their emotion plays out or whatnot. Because when you can believe them in the role, you get lost into that. With music, it's the same thing. If we hear a song we like and then suddenly we realize that it's AI, we lose it because we don't know who to, like, there's this thing that's missing. We don't know who to thank. We don't know what, because nobody produced it. Nobody is the artist, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the risk that people kind of freaking run or whatnot. You can't even interview the person. What do you do in that case? If somebody makes an AI freaking record, who do you freaking interview? Like the person who wrote and came up with, like, no, you know what I mean? Like, and again, okay, so even today, right? So if you type in something like, you know, make me a song about a baby who loves sandwiches or something like that, right? Again, it comes up with that, right? The people who like did the Corn Kid sort of song and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? How they interviewed the kid and then turned it into like a song and shit like that, right? And often they would do sort of things like that, where they would turn other things into songs, and made, you know, like funny kind of things or whatnot, right? For me, it feels doper to see people have the idea themselves and then to do it, versus someone who just type something in a machine and then it spits something out. And again, that something is not a person either, right? So again, at the end of the day, I think people are still gonna want the soul in their music. If there's and they're gonna want that work too. I love, oh shit, so and so produced this track, and then often you can see them while they were making that beat and stuff. If we don't get to see that and have that experience, and for some of you guys who are the AI creators, right? Like, I almost feel bad because you might never get to experience actually making the music, right? Like being in the studio while figuring out how you want the record to go or something like that. Like learning to play guitar or piano, or, you know, using a beat program to really try to just practice. It's not hard. It ain't. You know what I mean? And like there are a lot of sites that'll make it easy for you. They'll create, you know, drum loops and certain things that you can at least like get a head start. And then from that, you know, create a little bit of a template, add things on top of it, change the drums, like, you know what I'm saying? It's not hard to really do what you're trying to do. And I want you guys to be inspired to be able to hopefully do things without AI. And like, if you're gonna use it at all, limit it, right? We should not hear a song where there is a full involvement of AI, right? And if you're gonna do it, like the most creative things that I've saw in terms of its use was, you know, the artist who made a song where he was battling the AI, and so the AI had its own verse and then he had his own, you know what I'm saying? So you're still seeing a human aspect freaking to that or whatnot. And I liked that, right? I liked Beanie Siegel because he does not have the same voice, right? He wanted to be able to, you know, make records sound like his classic self, so he still rapped with the voice he has now, but then used the AI voice modulation to, you know, basically make it sound like how he used to or whatnot. And honestly, that is probably the best use ever of it, because any artist without a voice in those occasions, like, they can figure out that way, you know what I'm saying, back in. There was an artist who came to the show who literally, you know, they had to use like a kind of voice modulation sort of sound, and like type up the word so it came up, and it sounded like very robotic. And I said, like, man, you know what, like, if you were to use AI and sort of like kind of, you know, get into the way that your actual voice sounds and stuff like that, like what you're sort of like doing might be a little bit better or whatnot. So there's a nobility to some of that or whatnot. But what I don't like is the aspect of feeling like people are going to be, you know, lazy and, you know, not even reach out to an artist or whatnot, right? Like literally we had a community member who said, you know what, like I want to tell my story or whatnot, so I'm gonna get like, you know, 5 to 10 artists to like, you know, I'm gonna tell them all different, you know, stories or whatnot, and then have them come up with like songs or whatnot for it or whatnot, and they did, and it was like a dope like aspect. It was a dope project, because, you know, it was just something overall freaking different or whatnot, right? And again, it's you know, that aspect of just having the ability to reach out to the artist and then make it something, and then when you're listening, it's all real. It's not, okay, let me make an album full of AI records that tell my story. Like, it's different. Plus, the artist isn't real. When we if we like the artist and the voice, like what happens, man? Who do we get? We can't do a feature or nothing. All of those things just kind of go out the door. You can't copyright an AI record. Okay? Like how many conversations do we need to have for people to just like, all right, man, damn. Fine, we won't use it, man. All right, I'm gonna just stop there. You said, I think AI should be used like we do with reference tracks and stuff like that. Now, that's an aspect, but here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. So I thought about that too. But then I said, if I was an artist, because I don't really take reference songs from people and stuff like that, but if I was, I would probably want to, like, it'd be a half and half because it was AI, right? Because I would be like, I wouldn't know how much of it you did and thought of. Like, I would, in my mind, I always want the person to come up, if you're gonna do that, come up with the melodies, come up with all the words and everything, and then just have it be like, again, if it's you singing but then you change the voice to sound like another AI kind of thing or something like that, like that makes a little bit more sense than sort of, let me type the idea of the song, it spit the song out, and then let me tell another artist to remake it, because it was still an AI record, you know, just with the input of some of your ideas or whatnot. Your ideas are there, but where was your production? Where was your, you know what I'm saying, this and that? And yes, they can remake it. They can sort of reword certain things or whatnot. That's probably the only thing that will make it a little bit better. But if they feel like they're relegated to like, oh no, you need to make this song exactly right here with everything freaking in that and stuff like that, I think they would, you know, feel some type of way. And again, they want to be able to really say, you know, that like you, for instance, right? Like, I'm still trying to figure it out in my mind, right? Because I'm trying to figure out how much I'm comfortable with. I mean, again, there are things where you can sort of, all right, let me just sing the record and then put it into the thing, and then it spits production out. So if you wanted like a rock song or whatnot, it sort of like tries to, you know, put together what it thinks that would go, you know, well with it or whatnot. Again, there's still no aspect of like somebody else got in there and helped you, like band wise. But we would love that, right? And so in our minds, we still want a band. We still want some kind of live and real aspect to the production that makes it feel a little bit more real. You know, then usually people can go from there. Let me see. Now you said, isn't the whole point of music to connect and relate? Indeed. And you said it's about celebrating and reaching out, sharing and creating and being imperfect and expression. Music is about the human experience and connections, or of connections. And then make a shit song fail and make a good one. How could you know you've grown if you don't fuck up and be human? Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, you miss out on that aspect of like, yeah, let me try to, figure this out. And you don't, and at those times, you don't even know if like you want to be the artist, or you want to be just the writer, or if you want to be a producer yet or whatnot. But sometimes it'll take those things away from you, right? Because when most of us started, like, we all had to, okay, what beat program do I want to use? What do I want to try out? You know what I mean? Like, I went from like a Casio keyboard to a Triton LE keyboard that, like, Swiss Beats and them had used and stuff like that. I always love a Triton or whatnot. Has great sounds within it. Then I went to Fruity Loops, to Logic, Logic Pro, and what I'm saying, in terms of production, those were the freaking things. In terms of like recording, Cubase, VST, and Wavelab back in the day. Karaoke machines, of course, all that, all just to like however we could get a record down, and recording both to just random instrumentals that like were in singles that artists would release, and then eventually like being like, no, I need to make my own, beats, and make sure that people can see both sides of what I can do. So I always sort of made sure to practice essentially both, and again, just going through the experience of being an artist. And even if you just decide to want to be like, a writer, so let me make records that are like reference songs. As I said, it will always be better if you can at least be the person to sing the song or rap it, whatever it is, right? However you see it in your head. And then if you need to change your voice or whatever to make it feel more, like an authentic rapper or something like that, by all means. But it has to be in human aspect. Again, earlier we got a record where an artist was like legit, like, making one of those more melodic, auto-tune centric songs, but they used the Squidward sort of sounding, voice thing to sound like Squidward was singing it. And like, again, it got us through most of the freaking record because, it was like, bruh, this is, but he was kind of like, just saying a bunch of random wild shit. So by the end, it was like, bruh, what is even happening? But it was fun, right? Because he had used that. It was different. And all he needed was a freaking video, to be honest. He said, now I make, so you make your own samples, more when you can get when, more when you know the customer can't get their idea out. Yeah, okay, I see that. And then Chili, make one of the samples, but yeah, that does help a little bit. Let me see. I think I go use it. And then what'd you say? Yeah, and you had to call your homies. Yeah, call your homies. Yo, what works for you? Can you help me? Do you know someone? Let's work together. I'm saying, bringing people to the studio, and just being a part there. I'm telling you, there are more than, do this for all artists. It's like nobody here sent AI at all, by the way. We just started having this conversation, right? For all producers, for all writers, for all whatever. If you, before you use AI anything, right? Always, just literally put a post out. Put a post, or, put something out on TikTok. Like do something that at least gives people the chance to show you what they can do. Right? You'd be surprised by like you being like, oh, I need an open verse on this thing, whether you're a producer or a rapper or singer or whatever, and then all the people who pop up and like, you know, duet to your thing, whether it's freestyle, written. Some people will like be like, oh, I don't rap, but I can, you know, play the guitar, and then they'll play the guitar over the song, or they'll, you know, put the drum, and then again they'll give you ideas that you weren't necessarily thinking of, and people to actually have access to when it comes to certain styles and stuff like that. And so if you're smart, you know, you guys will like use the access of like real people, because it's gonna help you in the end go, you know, more viral. The more people that know about your shit will share, and you know, vice versa or whatnot. I'm always surprised that like so many artists don't take more advantage of it, because it comes across my timeline every now and then, producer, artist, and I'm like, man, like there needs to be like so much more of these with like everyone's song that they truly freaking believe in, if they, you know, want to see what people can do. Because it's always a chance for us as artists to test ourselves, you know what I'm saying, to see like if we can do the best verse or whatever to whatever you're doing. And then while we're doing that, again, like if it only takes just really thinking about how simple and dope things are. When you do the thing, right, you do the whole thing, open verse or whatnot, literally, right, we promote the record for you, bro, because I share it, right, and share basically like my version or whatnot. It's still tagged and look and everything back to you. So anybody who likes what I did and is also an artist, basically then in turn wants to be, you know, the next one to also do the same thing and try to be the best or whatever. And then on top of that, right, when you want to sort of promote it a little bit more, do reactions to those who actually enter, you know, the challenge or whatever, the best ones, or like whatever the case or whatnot. Give your reaction and sort of, you know, and then literally just ask your audience who they thought did the best and who should you get on the official, you know, song, or, you know, whatever the case like that, man. Like that's the best true way to network for free on most of the platforms that'll let you, you know, duet with people. You know, just make sure that you really, you know what I'm saying, promote, man. They may have to start singing again, because most of these open verses have some hooks and stuff like that. Yeah. Listen,
I'm dangerous like I'm a mad gorilla. I am sicker than a salmonella filled sandwich dinner, homie. I will kill a beat a man. I'm iller than a caterpillar, chilling, having cigarettes while I dish in a wonderland. I'm realer than a kid within a magic.